Okay, I'm going to go over how I built the three gears. When the dust settles, you should have something that looks like this. And all right, so first things first, let's get rid of everything in the default scene. We don't need any of that. And we're going to add a mesh circle. When we add that circle, before we do anything else to it, we need to, because this gear is going to only have, the first gear I'm going to make is only going to have 8 teeth. Um, we're going to set our vertices to 16 on this circle. Got 16 vertices. And then that's going to be good for that. All right, so now let's press my period on the number pad so I can zoom on that object. And we're going to switch from object mode here, from object mode to edit mode. And we're going to start working on this thing. I want to be on the edges, so I'm going to click on the select mode, edge select, and I will box select the whole thing. So I've got all my edges selected, just in case you accidentally deselected. Box select the whole thing, so we got all the edges selected. Then I'm going to use the extrude tool. And I'm not just going to do the extrude region. If I hold my mouse down on the extrude tool, it's going to open up the options, and I want to extrude along normals. That will cause me to extrude along the direction that each individual face is facing. So let's see, I don't want to go out. I want to make this one go in. And I'm going to come in almost the whole way. That's the first extrusion. Then I'm going to do a second extrusion. Later, I'm going to build this little area, this extra ring of polygons, into a lip on the gear. If you look at the finished product here, and if I tilt it sideways, you'll notice that these gears all have lips on them, okay? And then for the moment, I'm done with the extrude tool for that. I'm going to switch back to my select tool. And I want to select all the edges going around this. So now I'll select one edge, like I got selected right there, that one edge selected there. And then let's see if this should work. If I select loops, edge loops, no, yeah, edge loops, there we go. That got all of the edges all the way around. But I'm going to make my teeth from this, and I don't want all the edges. So there's a little tricky thing called checker deselect. I'm going to click on checker deselect, and now what that's done is it is only selected every other edge. So now I've got every other edge selected all around. I'm going to orbit around what's going to become my gear, make sure every other edge is selected. I'm going to go back to the extrude tool and extruding along the normals again. This time I'm going to extrude these out, and these are going to become the teeth of my gear. Now that I've got that extrusion done, I'm going to click the scale tool and set it to individual origins. That way I'm going to apply this scale tool to the individual origin of each of those edges. And I just want to scale in X and Y. So I'm going to grab that little box right there, which lets me scale in X and Y. And I want to scale these to where the teeth are like, well, they look like gear teeth. All right. Now, got the basic gear set up. I'm going to switch my select mode to face select. You mouse over that button, you're just going to say select mode, face select. And I'm going to box select all of the faces. Got all the faces box selected. This time I'm going to change to extrude region, not extrude by normals, but just extrude region, the normal extrude tool. And I'm going to pull this whole thing up. And just to be sure, I want to check and make sure. Yeah, solid on the bottom, solid on the top. Every now and then, when I've done this, I've gotten a glitch where for some reason, and I don't know the explanation for this, the bottom doesn't get filled in and it's open. But I want to see, I got faces on the bottom and faces on the top where I extruded. So that worked out good. Now I'll go back to my select tool and I'm going to select that polygon. And I don't know a shortcut for getting all these polygons, but I want to select all these polygons going around. I'll bet you there is a shortcut. If somebody knows, put it in the comments. I'd love to hear what your shortcut is for getting all of these polygons that ring right here in this. This is going to become the lip of my gear. I want to make sure I don't accidentally select any of those that are on the inside. And then I want to go to the bottom, hold down my shift key, and continue to select all of these polygons on the bottom, going all the way around. So I want to make this lip pop up on both sides. All right, now that I've got that, I'm going to double check my selection by orbiting around, checking my selection, and want to extrude, and I'm going to be extruding again along normals because half of these faces are facing up, half of these faces are facing down, so I want them to extrude in the direction they're facing. So I'll pull that up a little bit, and I get a nice little lip around. Now, one thing, if you take a look carefully at my example, you'll notice that these edges here are rounded. That's because I applied a bevel to that. So to get that bevel in there, I'm going to switch back to edge, the edge select tool. So I'm on select mode to select edges. I'm going to switch to the selection tool, and there's a nice shortcut for making this work. I'm going to select this first edge right there on the top right there. And I'm going to go to select loops, edge loops. And I got this first edge. I'm going to hold my shift key, select that next edge. This one's on the inside, the one that's highlighted white, and then select loops, edge loops. And now I've got the ring of edges on the top here. Switch to the bottom. I'm going to hold my shift key, select that edge, and then select loops, edge loops, and lastly I'm going to select that edge and go to select loops, edge loops. It's going to get me all four of these rings of edges, and these are, I want to apply a bevel to these. The bevel tool is right down here. Mouse over it, it says bevel. Now, if you grab the gizmo on this and pull it hard, you'll blow everything up. I'll grab the gizmo and show you what I mean. You can just really blow this thing up. So I don't want to be blowing it up. As I start to apply this, I just want to take it down to where, yeah, that's going to be good right about there. You can see that I've just like beveled these edges. And then I want to open up this tool right here because right now they're only giving me one bevel segment. But if I bump this segment up like to 3, get a really nice rounded edge right there. If I switch back from edit mode to object mode, yeah, that edge looks kind of rounded. Later, we're gonna smooth all this out a little bit, but that gives me a good foundation for having a smooth edge around the edge of that portion of the gear. All right, so that's going to wrap up the first gear. Now, the second gear, I'm just going to make that by duplicating the first gear. So I'm going to now switch myself into this top-down mode. I don't want to be on the positive Z. I'd like to see positive Z up here on this gizmo. So I'm looking in an orthographic view, straight down on this gear. I'm going to leave that one kind of in the middle right there, though later I am going to rearrange the positions of these. I'm going to take this one and now to duplicate it. Let me see. I'm going to call this one, name it my medium gear, because it's going to be the medium size. I'm going to duplicate the medium gear. Duplicating is Shift D. When you Shift D, that automatically duplicates. I'll hit my Escape key, go to my Move tool, and I'm going to move this gear over. And I want this one to be a little bit smaller. So I'm going to change its scale in X to 0.8, and I'm going to change its scale in Y to 0.8. I'm not going to bother to change its scale in Z because I want both of these gears to have the same thickness when I put them together. And I am going to put them together. Let me get back in that orthographic top-down view, not negative Z, positive Z. All right. And then I'm going to arrange this gear. I'd like to line it up so that this gear lines up with that gear. And so I'm going to have to tweak the rotation a little bit here. And so let's see, with the rotation, pretty close there. Move it kind of and see if these line up. Nope, still a little off. Come back a little bit. This only has to be close, but you really, once we start to set up the animation, you do want this to like line up with kind of the middle of that gear where it's at, just so that when this animation goes on, you're going to get a minimum amount of the gears kind of cutting over each other. But I think that'll do. That'll work. All right, so now that gives me my medium gear, my small gear. This one, it got renamed when I copied it, and I'm going to change its name to small gear. Always a good idea when you're making objects in any 3D scene. Name everything. And even in a small scene, give all your objects meaningful names so you know what they are. Now that I've zoomed out a little bit and zoomed in, I'm just going to tweak that rotation a little bit more. Nope. I really want to try to line this up. I want to have it nicely lined up. That looks much better. Those two, this edge of this medium gear looks like it's lining up with that in the small gear. Happy with that? All right. Now, the big outer gear. I'm going to start again with a new circle. So let's see, I'm in object mode, and I'm going to go to add, mesh, circle, and then this circle is going to get over here. I want it to have 24 teeth. To have 24 teeth, I'm going to need 48 vertices. And notice when we had 8 teeth, we needed 16 vertices. There's some math going on there. Think about it. The radius, I'm going to set that to 3. So this is going to be 3 times larger than the medium-sized gear. The medium-sized gear is 1 meter radius. So give me a 3 meter radius on this gear. And then while I'm working on this new circle, I'm going to hide those other 2 gears by clicking the little eye up here to hide those other 2 gears. And I think I'm ready to start. Go over to edit mode. Now I'm in edit mode here. And first thing I'm going to do, just like I did previously, I'm on the edges. I've got them all selected. I want to extrude along the normals, and I'm going to go ahead and bring this in a little bit. So the gear has some thickness. That's my first move on that. And then I'm going to do again that select, checker, deselect. And that's going to end up selecting every other edge for me. So every other edge is selected. And I'm going to do another extrusion. Wrong way, extrude the correct direction. So I got that extrusion, extruded out the inner teeth here. And then I'm going to change to that scale tool, make sure that this is still set to individual origins. And I'm going to narrow those down a little bit. There we go. They look more like gear teeth. All right, it's looking pretty nice. Change to polygon, face select. And I'm going to box select the whole enchilada. And now I want to just extrude the region, just extruding the normal extrude tool, extruding the region. And I'm going to lift this thing up. And let's take a look at it. Look from the bottom. Just double checking to make sure that my bottom didn't get left off. Yeah, the bottom's there, top and the bottom. All right, so this thing is looking pretty good. Let me click back on that positive Z axis and let me unhide these other 2 gears. And I'm going to switch back to object mode so that I can move this. And I want to move this big gear around. So I want to line the big gear up. I want to line that up with the medium gear. I want the small gear to turn the medium gear, and I want the medium gear to turn the big outer gear. And then to line these up, I am going to need to tweak the rotation in Z a little bit. That's the wrong direction. Let's see. Let's move this up a little bit. A little bit. Just looking to try to line up these 2 faces. They're still off just a little bit. That might be, it might have gone a little over, but let's see here. It's looking pretty nice. It's looking like those faces are lined up okay. Pretty happy with that. So that is what I did in class yesterday in advanced game design in 6th block. We built these 3 gears. And in the next video, I'm going to show you how to animate them so that they appear to be driving each other with a minimal amount of cutting. And don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in class.